Okay.
Oh, we are live now. So
Yeah.
today's session is going to be a little different. We are going to start with something which we usually do not. So friends, just be around, wait and watch what we have for you today. Just a moment, I'm just going fine. One second. I had some issue with my screen share. Yes. So I hope you all can see the screen, Dr. Arvind and Irene.
Yes.
So this happens to many of us. Maybe as Irene just stated, that she walks into the kitchen sometimes and she forgets what exactly she walked in for. And this could be happening with many others, not just her. And there's something else which happens with me when I might try to, remember a lot of things, and there is something very important to be done, which has been missed during the course of the day. And as soon as I hit the bed, I feel, oh gosh, this is what was the left for the day. So I'm not sure if it happens with you, but it does happen with me. And then this one, which happens most frequently with me, maybe with you as well. So I do not need to write, especially for my meetings, professional meetings, business meetings. I feel, oh, I have a brain which can record everything. I have a young brain. I have a brain which can keep in itself a lot of information. But when it comes to recalling it, oh my God, it's not easy, believe me, it's tough. And then what's the reaction? Oh God, there's nothing that I can do when my boss asks me for the work, what he has given to me or what he has assigned to me. And this is the exact expression that comes to my face. And I'm sure that happens in many other cases as well. Like if your wife has given you some work to do or just run some errands and you get into the house, as soon as you ring the bell, you realize, oh gosh, now that's the miss. So it happens, forgetfulness, very common. And then this, the new generation today, the tech generation today has pushed us all a lot into remembering. Everything is password. Social media is password. Our PCs are password. Our phones are passwords. The applications in the phones are passwords. So everything is password. And it's so difficult to remember. So this is precisely what I do. So next time you want to hack my password, this is what it is. So I have told you the trick, guys. Now we come back to the session. So obviously today's session is on forgetfulness. Well, it has been my companion for all this while, ever since I can remember, whatever little memory I have. So started with forgetting my toys to keep them back in the right place when I was a kid. School books and homework were always on the list to forget. And I'm sure which happens with most of the kids today as well. Yes, but playtime, friends, going out, going to the zoo, always remember, you'll never forget that. So there are a few things which you don't forget. There are other things you forget. As I grew up, took up a career, boss's instructions always took the backside on my list, knowing that it'll have its own perils, but it happens. We forget, one brain, how many things to remember, and it can go wrong. So that happens. I don't know if it happens with you. It happens with me often. Phone numbers, date of birth, names of relatives. I mean, it's tough. It's tough. At least I can't do it. There are people who tell me, you don't remember my birthday. It's my birthday today. Wish me. It doesn't happen. I mean, it doesn't go with me at all. I don't know if it happens with you. So what I do, I have a trick up my sleeve for that. What I do is just apologize. I'm sorry. So that's all. So if you forget, the least or the max you can do is just say sorry. So I have been doing that. Not sure how many of you have faced the situations which I have explained you or I have shared with you. If you have felt the same, then today's session is for each one of you who has even once gone through something similar. So I am Himanshu Sharma, supported by Irene and our brain expert, Dr. Arvind. Welcome, both of you, to the session. So
Thank you.
before we forget, we have to discuss. Let's start. Irene, I would leave it to you to continue and give my brain a little rest. So the floor is yours, Dr. Sharma.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning if you're on the other side of the atmosphere, and for the others who are on the other side, good evening. Welcome again to our very interesting session around forgetfulness. And one of the things I will never forget is that my mom would keep things safely and then forget where she kept them and then ask us to go find it. So we have a specialist in our house, the finder, my sister. Yeah, so my name is Irene and I help patients in Africa to navigate the healthcare system so that they are not frustrated, they don't spend too much time and too much money, and then they get good outcomes out of that interaction. And today, of course, we want to discuss with our very able Dr. Arvind about forgetfulness. And maybe we can start with just telling us, help us to understand, how does memory work? How does the brain work in terms of memory? And how does it store information?
Thank you, Irene. Thank you very much. And it was pleasure interacting with you last time on stroke, and this time very interesting topic. I'm listening to Himanshu. I should say that on a funny side, that sorry will not work in front of your wife. Don't forget things for her, right? So so whatever you do, your bosses and whoever it is, one boss, you should
Yes.
always remember, you should not forget a single thing, right? So write it down, or wherever you write on your body, or wherever you become a Ghazni or whatever, but don't do that. So that is the important part. But wonderful slides presented by him, and it is a very common thing which Irene asked us, that what is memory and how it is stored. Now, coming on the serious note of it, memory, right? The forgetfulness is sometimes it is a good or bad. We'll discuss about it. First, I will tell you why memory is important for us. See, there are different kind of memories, but we should know that memory is one thing which is stored in the different part of the brain. So I cannot tell you different part of the brain, but I can tell you there is frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, occipital lobe, and there is a cerebral cortex. These are the division of the brain. But the most important part, which Irene asked, where it is stored. So I will tell you, memory is divided into three parts: immediate memory, recent memory, and the remote memory. So the immediate memory is, if I ask Himanshu, what is your phone number? And I give some number to him like 56892 and ask him to repeat it. So if he's able to repeat it, there are 2 digits, there are 3 digits, there are 4 digits, or 5 digits. Till 5 digits, if you are able to do it, then your immediate memory is normal. And immediate memory is known as a working memory, and it is stored here as a frontal lobe. As we have been said, that we have, as a primate, when we have grown in our generation, our ancestors are chimpanzees, or if you go back, the human evaluation, how the humans have evolved, the frontal lobe is the area which have grown the most. This area has, if you see, has grown the most, and that is why it is known as the intelligence area. That is why it is known as a working brain. So the immediate memory is stored at the frontal lobe. Now coming to the second memory, that is the recent memory. The recent memory is what you have done day before yesterday, whom you have met day before yesterday, or yesterday what you have taken in your dinner, what you have taken in your breakfast. So this is what is known as the recent memory, and that is stored is in the temporal lobe. So this is what the recent memory is. And if you go to the remote memory, like what I was telling to Himanshu, and we were laughing on that. What is your wife's birthday? Irene, what is your brother's birth? Your sister who gives you all the information when you forget things. So what is your sister's birthday? When you were born, where you were born, and all the remote history. What is your marriage anniversary? What is the date of your passing of your school? So these are all our remote memories, And
Yeah.
these are like stored in the cerebral cortex, that is the whole of the brain. It is the surface of the brain that is known as the cerebral cortex. It is stored as a computer. You know, you can compare the computer with the human brain. As the computer has come in picture, the human brain is the most complex computer available on this earth.
Hmm. I didn't know that.
So it is very dynamic, right? It is very categorical. Some people can remember things, some people cannot. We'll discuss about as we go in the discussion. This is the answer to the Irene's question. This is how the memory is stored.
That's interesting. I didn't even know that it's stored in different parts of the brain. Well, I knew it was stored in the brain, but not the different parts. That makes a lot of sense.
I didn't
So
even know that brain has different parts. So that's another thing which I need to explore.
I'm a step ahead of you.
Now you're pulling up your doctor's leg. It's okay. You can do that.
Yeah, he can store it in his immediate memory right now, and then it will move on to the next. See, I'm learning. Yeah.
Fantastic.
All right. So, with the environment that we find ourselves in, issues to do with lack of sleep, stress, anxiety, do all these things affect how our memory works, or do they work separately?
Very, very important question, Irene. It's a beautiful question.
Mm-hmm.
See, I will give an example. It's a human brain, right? So I should not compare it with the non-living object, but I'm still
Yeah.
doing it with the computer because
Mm-hmm.
as the artificial intelligence is coming, they are becoming more and more living organisms. Like computer are becoming a living organism because of the artificial intelligence. So the sleep, when you work with the computer continuously, it becomes very warm or sometimes hot, and it shut downs. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So the first thing is important is the sleep. Sleep is the most important. As you told that we'll tell Himanshu now and he will store the memory in the recent memory and then for the remote. So the sleep is the most important part in that. If you sleep for 6 to 8 hours minimum daily,
Mm-hmm.
that is very important, 6 to 8 hours. It is an insomnia or any other disease while you are not able to sleep, your memory gets affected. So it has been said that if you are awake for more than 72 hours, you start acting weird and your decisions become very erratic and you can met an accident and you can make a judgment which is not fair to you. So sleep is the most important part, Irene, which you have spoken about in your question.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then the other stressors, I tell you the stressors and the anxiety which you told, how it affects the memory, right? Many people come to me in my routine OPD practice, the outpatient practice, that I have a lot of work, I use a lot of things, and I don't remember things, right? So the important part is they are stressing a lot to remember the things, and as being told, they are not noting, they are not taking the help of other systems. This frontal lobe, which is for the immediate memory from where the recent memory goes, that gets stored. If you don't deload that and you continuously overload this frontal memory, the worker memory, you start losing your data, what is for computer, and for us, it is memory, right? The data has to be shed, the unimportant things. So that is why the forgetfulness is important for us. And that is what sleep does to us. What is that the relaxation does for us? That is what the music, when we listen to it, does to us. We get with the unwanted information going to a dump yard and we deload our frontal lobe and we are able to remember the important things, right?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you were talking about when you see patients coming to you and they can't remember some things, and I was just trying to. I'm thinking about the biggest issue we have about people remembering their medical history, and which is important when they go to see the doctor. And
Absolutely.
so my question to you is, would you recommend that some of these things then are documented somewhere as part of storing or deloading, instead of trying to keep everything in the mind and, it gets lost?
Very right and very important, right? You
Mhm.
cannot remember everything. I
Yeah.
agree. There are few peoples across Earth who are known as geniuses. Some are known for numbers. Some are known as musicians. Some are known as painters. Some are because that part of brain God has given them in a special area. But if you talk about the average human, where you talk about the documentation part. Patient come to you in the outpatient and they try to tell you everything. When you finish all your consultation, doctor, can I have your 1 minute? I forgot. They go to the door and they come back. So I
Mhm.
forgot two or three
Mhm.
things. And when you hear to that, Irene, those are the most important and useful information we want
Yeah.
to tell them to us. So it is very important to document things. And if you feel that you don't remember, and no one remembers everything,
Yeah.
right? No one
Sure.
remembers everything. So it is very important to always prepare yourself for such specific tasks, like Himanshu was talking, and you were talking about the patient. So for that, if you make a documentation of your complaints, it is easy, and it is not the whole story you have to write. If you write 10 pointers of yours that I have to discuss this area, that one word, see how human brain is. That one word, headache, if you write, you all the information get activated in your brain. When I have a lack of sleep, I have headache. When I do this thing, I have headache. So all the information suddenly comes out if you write a 111 pointers, and you can make your memory more. And another thing which is very important, this is not related to patient, right? Always
Mhm.
practice makes man perfect. So whenever you are forgetting, you feel you're forgetting a lot. The important things again, if you start writing them and start remembering them. Himanshu mentioned about the incorrect password. So I tell you, many people forget their password. They take now the email and phone numbers has made very easy to get your password back. Initially, it
Mhm.
was very difficult to get your password get blocked, and this you have to go to the administrator and a
Yeah.
lot of things you have to do. So the most important thing I tell you for all the people who are using the password, they should use it frequently. Never go a week that you
Mhm.
don't use that password. If you are even doing for banking, just log in and come out. That is the best way. Practice makes man perfect. It is
Mhm.
rugby, football, cricket, what a game it is, or it is a human brain. Practice
Yeah.
makes man perfect. So, are you able to hear me, Irene?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Yeah.
You had gone off for a bit. Yeah, thank you. I mean, I asked that because, that's a really big issue. And for Patient Support Services Africa, we have tried to come up with a solution for, people who then want to keep all their records together. And we recently came up with a book. I think it's gonna be upside down, but it's my doctor's book, all my patients' records in one place. So that when you're going to see the doctor, you have that document that you take there, and they help you to give the right history to the doctor. Moving forward, Dr. Arvind, the other question is whether it's for women or for men, is hormonal imbalance an issue, with regard to memory and how we store it or lose it?
Okay, that is a very important part you have put forward, Irene. It is see, a memory has relation with the hormones, no doubt in that. But it is not like this that male and female will have the memory difference in that. So it is all related to the cognitive part and at the cerebral cortex.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes some hormonal change can make you remember less, in no doubt in that. But always said that female memory is better than the male. It is the estrogen, and during, especially during the reproductive age group, once they pass their menstrual phase, then
Mm-hmm.
they are protected. They are golden heart during their reproductive age, right? They
Mm-hmm.
are protected with the heart attack. They are protected with many things, and the one thing they are protected during their till they have their cycle, the estrogen is the beautiful thing what they have. So that is
Yeah.
the advantage, but they have a lot of other things which they take care of. And I tell you, there is one important thing. If you see a computer, you see many people, their computer, all the
Mm-hmm.
PDF, and they are lying on the computer different places. And if you see a female computer, Irene is there and she should be putting up a collar up, you find more organized on their laptop, right? You see a laptop, any boy who's studying engineering, you find it is all jumbled up. one logo is there, one logo is there. It's not assembled. So that tells about the mind, and that is what how the brain is, right? You have to organize the way the book has been shown by Irene. It's a beautiful part of showing how organized you are, and more organized you are, so you will not have the forgetfulness, which is benign, right? We are not talking here, we have not come to the topic of the pathological forgetfulness that is known as dementia. In that part, nobody have anything in their hand. It is an age related process of
Yeah.
loss of memory. That is, if you age, you start, if you are of age of 60, then you go 70, then you go 80. So it's double, triples and quadruples your chances of getting a memory loss. Dementia, that is the most common type. Alzheimer's, we are not talking about that, we'll come to that, but we are talking
Okay.
about more about the benign forgetfulness, where we are not organized and we are not doing things by recording themselves, by documenting themselves. And if you start doing it, you will be more able to do in a, you will forget less. You see,
Ah.
that we have a procedural memory, right? Cycling, swimming, we never forget that.
Ah, okay. So, with us trying to keep up with this memory business, not trying to lose all our memory, we've heard about brain boosters, those things you take and then suddenly you can remember everything. Do they work? And, is it safe for us to take it? And what are the examples?
I will give you this answer in a different way. See, memory boosters, they are the holy grail. So we don't know about it. We'll talk about more about the evidence-based medicine. Those are known as the reversible dementias, reversible forgetfulness. So those are the areas which are important in everyone is, like the nutritional deficiencies. If you have a low iron, if you are an anemic patient, if your hemoglobin is low, your tendency to fatigue, everyone knows that you can fatigue, you can get breathless, but nobody knows that you become blunt in your memory. So hemoglobin should be normal because that is carrying your oxygen and everything to the brain. So anemia should be corrected. Nutritional
Okay.
like vitamin B12 and D3 levels, as more and more RO is being used in the water, it water is removing all the nutrients. So you find patient come and says, Hare, everyone has a vitamin B12 and D3 low. Why? So the reasons are there because we are modified our life. Before we used to have a tap water or a lake water. Now totally everything is processed. And those processed food are really harmful for us. So important is the nutrition. Either it is iron, either it is calcium, either it is magnesium, or it is vitamin B12, vitamin D3, thyroidism. Hypothyroidism is one of the most common condition in young female who are very sharp, and suddenly they come up that I started forgetting few things. And as soon as you do a thyroid test, their TSH goes up to 50, 45, and suddenly if you treat them, their memory becomes very good. So these are all the nutritional and very common immunological diseases, whereas they are totally reversible and you should
Ah.
definitely correct them. I have given the few. There is a list where we need an hour to talk about the reversible forgetfulness or reversible dementia.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that answers a lot of questions for me. Like I think I should have brought a notebook. Next time I'll bring one so I can be writing all these new things. I'm sure Himanshu has other questions that he would want to ask. I saw him writing. He must be having questions for you. So
So,
let's see what he has to say.
Himanshu, very good. Before we go to Himanshu, I complete one of your question of anxiety. In that one word, I will enter that there is depression, right? So many of the young, those who are in corporate, those who are in IT sectors, they come to me, to any neurologist. They come that nowadays I don't remember things, right? And they are depressed because of the relationship and many things. They are depressed. So that is known as pseudo dementia. So if you remove their depression, their memory becomes totally okay. And that is also again related to the frontal and the circuits. There is a frontal lobe and there are circuits. As you have circuits on computer, they are known as the frontal subcortical circuits. So they affect their circuits, and if you treat their that depression part, their memory loss goes away.
Wow, that's a lot of good information. I have learned a lot in this.
Thank you. Thank you, Irene. You're humble.
So I will
Yeah.
take up Irene now. So you have discussed already the functional aspects of memory, and as our brain is not a hardwired uh, organ, it's it's like neurons which are flowing all around, taking information from one place to another. That's the reason probably uh, we need to train it, as Dr. Arvind clearly mentioned, that if you use your brain more, you have to train it more, and possibly it will stay in a better shape. So it's just like, going to the gym to do exercise, solve some puzzles, do some other activities which can distract you from the normal. What you do regularly doesn't help. Like if you said, okay, I'm climbing in my office, I'm going 5 floors up and 5 floors down, that's not enough of an exercise. You need some dedicated time. So, Dr. Arvind, do we also need dedicated time for our brain?
Very right. Very important question, Himanshu. It's to the point, right? He talked about the gym, right? Do anyone here, I'm discussing to the people who are listening to us across the world. I'll tell you, we have a brain memory, we have a muscle memory, right? We have memory for the muscles, where brain is a central part which is relaying everything for the nerves, muscle, and everything. So the most important thing we always discuss with Himanshu, and I've written also on the social media about is neurobics. So as you have aerobics for you and you do all the movements in the morning, you should also do neurobics. Neurobics is the exercise of the brain. So as you do your normal activity daily, you are doing at an autopilot level. Like the flight is landing, you go to your office by autopilot, you do your routine work like brushing and everything like autopilot. So it is at a subconscious level you have to do. So you have to go off route from that normal routine. So some people do Sudoku, some people do crossword puzzles. So these are the ways to enhance your brain. These are the main brain boosters what Irene was talking about. So these are the important brain boosters, like doing a crossword puzzles, like doing the activity daily. You brush with your right hand, start brushing with your left hand, start walking by closing your eyes, start walking backward. So these are the activities you generally don't close your eyes when you're going downstairs, right? Don't do some heroic activities or adventure. But I'm saying you doing an activities which you are routinely not doing, like listening to a different kind of music, like going outdoors where you have not gone, and challenges, you are challenging your body, but you are challenging your brain also. So that is why sometimes the drive is very important. People say we'll go for a long drive, right? That is very important for you to get yourself a new memory and new way of enhancing your memory. Neurobics,
Thank
don't
you.
forget
So
about
that
neurobics.
that was very important for us. So it's time that we all need to challenge our brains. Obviously, we all walk down the stairs with our mobile phones, tuck, 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 sending messages, checking WhatsApp, doing Facebook. Don't do that. It can help you. Maybe it can help you take to a doctor and break some bones. So avoid that. And obviously, don't climb stairs backwards. That's what Arvind didn't mention, but I'm just adding to it. Well, I'm just getting on with the lighter side now. Dr. Arvind, another small thing I want to ask you. When we know it is the right time to see a doctor in terms of a memory loss, it's a very difficult situation for people. Like when and how frequent, if you have memory losses, you should visit a doctor.
Very important. Now we are moving towards the serious part of the memory loss, where you should be important to know that when you should see a doctor, because it is important when you are started having a pathological forgetfulness. You should remember that as we age, it is a normal process to lose your memory, like forgetting names and other things. But most important, when at the age of 60 or 70, you start forgetting going to the places, like you are going to your office or going to your home. And when you forget your way coming back to your home, going to the shopping, and you forget your home, you initially you don't forget completely, you go ahead and come back. So you start forgetting the recent event. Always remember, in Alzheimer's, which is the most common type of dementia, where you don't start forgetting your relative's name and your remote memory goes the last. So the most important memory which you lose when you have a pathological forgetfulness or you are developing Alzheimer's is you forget about the recent memory, that what you have taken in the breakfast. 2 days back, I met Irene and I say, hi, how are you? Irene will say, we met 2 days back. Then, human brain is very smart. Oh, okay, okay. He will not remember the event, but he will try to compensate it with the brain. But family members are very good at it. If family members understand that that is the initial part where you should visit a doctor and get yourself treated, because if you treat your dementia early, you can prolong, just like diabetes and other things, you can prolong your advanced dementia. And that is the important phase, like that is known as a visual spatial orientation. You forget to the places which are very known to you. You forget what you have eaten recently. So this is for the most important, that is the Alzheimer's. Then there are different type of pathological dementia. When you see your father or anybody of your relative at the age like 60, 70, or even nowadays in 55, that they are become apathic, they are not involved in their grandchildren activities, and they are not involved in the activities of their financials, they are not going to the bank for their activity, that is known as apathy. They have become abusive. There is a these things which are very much known as a behavioral abnormality, in the form of they don't know where to go for the washroom, where to go for the things, they are coming without clothes from the bathroom. These all happens. They are known as frontotemporal dementia, and they are specifically for the frontal and the temporal, because frontal lobe is very important for your executive functions, for your orientation, for your behavior relationship with the others. It is very important. And third type is that you start having delusions about that the person is talking about me. You start you start hallucinating things. That is again, sometimes go to the psychiatrist, but it is important to know that this is very early part of dementia sometimes, and it has to be seen by the neurologist to be get treated.
So that was very, very important for all of us, and especially young people, those who feel that, oh, my memory is amazing. What's going to happen to me? I will never have dementia. So let's not ignore that. It's a serious issue. If you have short-term things that have happened in recent past and you are forgetting them, the best way to check is keep reminding yourself. Look at what you've had a couple of days ago. Where did you go out last with your kids? Try and remember those events. And if you feel that there is a hitch, no harm visiting a doctor. A doctor is not going to put something in your head and tell you that, okay, your brain is bad. No. At least this would be a point for you to understand in case there is something wrong or not. And then there is an opportunity to improve whatever by chance in case there is a damage. Dr. Arvind, I would move to the next question. Which is something which I personally have never been able to understand the difference. Like a lot of people tell me I'm absent-mindedness. So is it being forgetful and absent-minded? Is it same? It's different. Clinically, do you have these two situations which can be separated? If you can just explain that to our viewers.
It's a very important thing. The absent-mindedness has a different format. See, forgetfulness is forgetfulness. And we described the memory very well to you, right? Immediate, recent, and remote. And we talked about the reversible and the benign forgetfulness, where people have that pseudo kind of feeling that they are forgetting. When you examine them, they are totally normal. So there are specific tests by which you can define forgetfulness. We have mini mental status examination, which is a 30-point scale which we do, and everyone can do a MOCA, that is the Montreal Cognitive Assessment Test. There you can download the PDF. There are different pictures and the format, and if you do that test, you'll know about it. But talking about the absent-mindedness, which is separate from the forgetfulness, which we call it as a muddlehead, right? You are confused. You are totally forget about the things. So that is where the point where you overload your frontal lobe and you don't able to get the new information in, and you get confused with lot of information. So that absent-mindedness sometimes, this is how I'm talking about the overloading of the frontal lobe. but that absent-mindedness can be because of some seizures also. There are many seizures which you feel that they are feeling absent-mindedness, they are staring at you and they forget things, but that can be a seizure. So let the neurologist decide that is it absent-mindedness or it is forgetfulness. But the absent mind is sometimes a lack of attention to the particular information. So that is which is very much I can say is deliberate. If you concentrate and like you have a notebook, you have a demonstration, and you concentrate on things. Some people have an attention deficit disorder. So they are looking at present at the scenario and they start looking there and they again come here. So that is what it is known as the attention deficit disorder. And they look to you as absent-mindedness. So you have to take care of that part in a behavioral form, and those can be improved by the biofeedback therapy.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I can say
Yeah.
something
Irene,
about
go
it.
ahead.
Yeah, so I am a quality improvement specialist and also a patient safety champion. So as you talk about absent-mindedness, I am thinking in terms of someone who's working in the healthcare system, and I've gone to work and I'm absent-minded, but I'm taking care of patients, especially because we have so many, and that is increasing. It's leading to a lot of increase in things that are being done that are not safe for the patient, and we end up having a lot of errors. So this discussion right here is very important for medical people, because you have to be present as you take care of the patients, because otherwise something goes wrong and it's not deliberate, but if you had paid attention, you'd have caught it. Yeah.
Very right. We do like this, right? Hey, where are you? Look at here. We are doing things here, right? This is a very common thing we do with people, right? And Irene has given a very good example for that.
Thanks, Irene. That was fantastic. At least people would be able to correlate to it, especially healthcare workers. And for all those who are non-healthcare workers and who are not associated with healthcare, so if you have been told that you are absent-minded, like I have been told by many people, still what is important is you need to understand whether you have any attention deficit disorder. If you have that, if you feel that, and if others around you, maybe your parents, your wife, your kids tell you that, it's not bad to just visit a neurologist once in a while. It's not going to cause you any harm. Anyways, coming to my next question, which is related to people like me and people who are like more busy and more successful than what I am. So in casual discussions, what I've had with my friends who are very well placed, young professionals, they often share with me that there are recurrent episodes of memory loss, sudden memory loss for a few minutes, and then it all becomes normal. Can it be precursor to something which is more dangerous?
Very, very important, right? As we talked about Caesar, if you talk about more about the disease part, definitely sudden onset of the loss of memory can be a part of some disease like seizures, where you call it as absent seizures, where you stare it and suddenly you don't know about it, what happened for a minute or two. So that is one part. The second part is sometimes that is known as the transient global amnesia. You forget about that 2 or 3 hours and you totally forget about it. And some of the forgetfulness is induced. Like you binge alcohol, you forget about that event yesterday, what happened when you binge the alcohol. So the addiction part is also very important. When you're binging something, which is illicit drug, that also is very important, and they are really dangerous because they are damaging your neurons. So this is on the part of very grave part where you should see a doctor and correct those things. Right now, coming to the part, the young professionals, which are very high placed and they have a lot of meetings going on, right? So what they do, they don't deload themselves. They continuously grab the information. They are listening, they are talking, they are listening, and they are the professionals who keep the data, keep the information, and they collate the data, and all day. See, human brain has a capacity. So you have to work 8 hours, you have to rest, sleep for 8 hours, and another 8 hours you have to be with your family, with your friends, doing the activities which are important for you. And what we have made as humans now, we work for 16 hours and we sleep for 6 hours or even 4 hours. And 4 hours for deliberately to keep ourselves okay, we straight go to the gym, work out without using our brain and come back and sleep just to get tired. Some smoke for that because some drink a lot of coffee for that. So, life is made for a balance. So sometimes it's okay, you can lose the balance and you have gone for a trip or a long drive and you drove for 16 hours, you feel tired. So it is a human nature, right? Humans are made like this. You need that 8 hour of rule which you have to know. So those young buddies which you are talking about, Mr. Imanshu, are those who are overloading their work to their frontal lobe. And frontal lobe says, I don't have time to shift them to the temporal lobe. And temporal lobe says, I don't have the time to shift them to the cerebral cortex. So it remains to their frontal lobe and they panic and go to a doctor. I'm forgetting things. So then doctor asks them, sleep for 8 hours, my dear friend, you are working a lot. Stress hai? Sir, stress kisko nahi? I'm sorry, I have gone in a different language. They will ask you, you have stress? So he will say, who don't have the stress? I'm working at such a position, I will have stress. So that stress, I agree that the young CEO or the person who is working at a high profile is very right. Stress is in everyone's, even in the child, even in the mother, even in the sister, even in the brother, everyone has a stress. But you should know how to release that stress. You have a stress here. And if you take that stress that's here, you're going to fatigue. So when you have a stress, some incidents happen and you're continuously working on it, you have to drop it. Just like you have to drop it. So you come to a baseline. Then again you go to sleep for 8 hours, then you get that stress, right? Then you have to drop it again for after working 8 hours. So that dropping and channelizing of the stress, that is known as venting out your stress in from your life and deloading your frontal memory is very important, Manshu. Tell your all the friends that they have to do it.
Thanks, Dr. Arvind. So what I have gathered from your last explanation is it's very important to reduce your baggage, try and divert your attention, give your mind a break like you give a break, like you've been eating all day, maybe whole week at home and you want to change on the weekend for your palate. Also seek for a change for your brain. It's more important. If your brain stays healthy, you will stay healthy, your palate will stay healthy, your life will stay healthy. So there is a lot that can be done, and brain is all about gymming. That is not gymming physically, as he said. You don't gym to sweat, but you gym to think, you gym to challenge, and you gym to make new avenues, new thought processes. And this pandemic period of COVID has given us a lot of opportunity to make our brain run better. So last and small question as we are running out of time, Dr. Arvind, I would request you to give us some brief insight into, I've seen a lot of elderly people who suffer from Alzheimer's, but their memory, their long-term memory stays very well. And still they have this Alzheimer's, like they're forgetting things, not able to recall. If you can just help our viewers understand in a simplified manner, and the kind of care such people require is equally important.
Absolutely. Uh, Himanshu bhai, the most important thing for treating such individuals who age and develop the memory loss because of the Alzheimer's, the most important thing that they get treated early, which you already done, that is the drug treatment. You know what is the most important treatment for them is the caregiver. So Irene is the most important part, that his support group is the most important part in that is the caregiver. And if the caregiver are the family members, half of the thing is gone. So that memory loss get delayed because of the compassion, the feeling of togetherness that is very important with the family members. When we are child, our mother, they shout on us, they give us all the advice, but the compassion after they hold you tight is most important, and you forget all other things, but you remember those beautiful things. So the caregiver for the dementia as they advance in dementia, that is the natural process of disease. You can't stop that. So until the late, they remember their family members. If you send them to the assisted living, they will not remember the nurse, they will not remember the people, but they will remember their family members. So if family members see them and get them the information, they may not forget so many things. So at the last, they are bedridden, they don't remember how to change their clothes. So these are the important areas. If you treat them well, they remain independent for long. So nobody is immortal, I agree. But how to make things more compassionate, more good for such dementia patients, and if you do that, it will help them a lot. If even if in the West they are living in assisted living, if their family members visit them frequently, that makes a hell of a difference. But the world which we are living in India, like Irene is living, where the family bonding is great, and even there are certain other countries where the family bondings are very great, these patients do far better than those who are living in the assisted living. So that is the most important.
Thank you. That was very insightful. And I'm not sure about everyone, but as far as I'm concerned, this session did light up a few more lights in my brain.
Oh, yes.
A lot of thinking through something which we did not know, or something maybe we were ignorant about. We'll start thinking again. So Irene, every Saturday seems to be adding some knowledge to a few people, or maybe a lot of them, I don't know. Thanks for being so thoughtful and selecting not just interesting topics, but also something that adds value to our viewers. We shall continue this tradition and bring you another insightful session on kids' health. Well, it's important, right? You know what happens when your kids aren't feeling well. So we shall be talking about fries, fish drinks, burger, chicken wings, and more. Don't be excited. Well, we won't be serving you all that virtually. We shall look at the hindsight, unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you look at it. We are going to talk about obesity and kids. With lockdown, with pandemic, it has become another pandemic, which is going to stay for a longer time than what COVID will. So do join us next Saturday, same time, same place. Stay safe, keep your masks on, keep washing your hands. Thank you very much, Asante Sana. I'll see you back. Thank you, Dr. Arvind. It was very, very insightful.
Thank you, Himanshu, and
Thank
thank you,
you.
Irene. Looking forward to the coffee with you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.